Veronika, how are you? Thank you so much for coming onto our podcast. Let's talk about data. How are you?
Hey, hi. I will also kind of color match today. That was not planned, but lovely. I am great. Thank you for having me. Very excited to see where our chat takes us.
Now, that's great. Just for our audience, Veronika is from US. So we have 12 hours difference. I guess it's around
Okay,
8 a.m. over there, right?
it is 8 a.m. I'm on the east coast of the US, and you are, what is it now?
In Malaysia,
Midnight?
it's 8 p.m. actually.
Wonderful. How is the future looking? You actually in my most favorite time of the day, Friday night.
Yes, yes.
So
Yeah,
thank you for choosing to spend it with me.
now, normally my sessions are 6 p.m. So I've been very much, what you can say, selfish, I would say, because I end up my day and then I plan my podcast. So even if it drags, even it delays, I'm fine with that. And I'm not a person to go for party on Fridays. So for me, it's all cool. Yeah.
It's more relaxing. On Friday night, my mind is this is the time of the week when like the work week is over, but I don't really have to think about anything else, like because I still have Saturday and Sunday for everything else. So it's like time to just kind of like relax in a moment to not think about anything. So yeah, I'm too old to party. So
Actually, this is my favorite time of the week because
mm,
is my work and my passion and my hobby, everything is data. So for me, actually, it's party time whenever I'm meeting industry leaders on data and AI. Again, thank you so much. So just for our audience, our today's topic is very vast actually. And just for everyone, Veronica is very much into data. And we are going to discuss a lot of things with Veronica.
mm,
And the topics we have selected is all interconnected. We will talk about decentralized and federated approach. Everybody is coming out of centralized and going towards decentralized model, which was proposed by MASH. But then challenges start coming and people started adopting federated approach, which is nothing more than having a DMP team, which is data practice management team, handling the whole blueprint XYZ. And then this era came for data products, which is again part of the data mesh. People are very confused. What is data product actually? That's
mhm.
the confusion. And then agentic AI came in. The moment agentic AI came in, small data products built by agents will be coming very soon into the market. So all this is very interconnected. So before we go into deep, tell us about this hype, new hype coming in. Yeah, let's start.
Yeah, so you just listed all the hot topics that we'll have a lot of hot takes on, and we'll try, I hope, to define how we think about it, what it means to us. I know there's a lot of debates around even defining things consistently across the industry.
Yeah.
So super excited. My gosh, where do we start? Let's start with centralized, decentralized, federated, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, I know we might even go in some other directions. I don't know. So hot take it for what it is. I believe in centralized data, decentralized analytics. I just cannot, or at least from my experience, which I've been in data for 25 plus years at this point, it is very hard for to go fully decentralized for multiple teams to agree on things. So that's why I kind of feel that to get a handle, or at least everybody needs to start with centralized data, get a handle on it, get definitions done, get your data governance figured out, and then you can start decentralizing. You need to establish your patterns, you need to establish your data ops, you want to make sure everybody's aligned before you start pushing things out. Versus analytics, consumers of data should better belong sitting with the groups that action on data, right? They understand data better, they know what they need, they're very hyper specialized. So to me, it kind of makes sense, or at least, again, I don't want to hand wave. I'm coming from my experience, which is obviously a tiny sliver of vast world. This seems to work, at least in the organizations that I've been a part of. So what is your hot take?
See, for me, you're absolutely right. You need to have centralized there. And when we talk about centralized, there are two pieces in centralized, right? We have enterprise warehouse, right? Enterprise warehouse, actually, there was a confusion on enterprise warehouse. For me, enterprise warehouse is for enterprise decisions. When we call enterprise data warehouse, it's a bill in mon where everything come, all subject area comes at one place, but that is for enterprise decision. Enterprise decisions does not mean for the whole enterprise. It is for
Mhm,
the top management who can take enterprise decisions on this centralized. Then there's a concept of data marts. So if people want their department level or LOB level, data mart concept is still there. So yes, we have to start from centralized, as you mentioned, just clear of governance. Along with governance, master data can be cleaned up, standardization can be cleaned up. All these things can be done in centralized. Once people have a good hands-on, then they can move towards decentralized, which is kind of a mash. But I also have challenges over there
mhm,
because the concept of data mesh domain ownership, very good. But the moment you go towards implementation,
mhm.
that is where challenges start coming. Because I'm a sales, I own a data product in sales. You are a marketing, you want a data product for your marketing, but you need sales data. So as per
Mhm.
data mesh, I should be creating that data product. Now, when I,
Interoperability,
yes,
ability, yeah.
yes. So
Uh,
when I create it, why should I care about that? Why should I invest? Because you are the one who is going to take benefit.
yeah.
Those challenges are there. That is where, yeah,
Incentives, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
See, when I say centralized data, I don't actually mean enterprise data or House Kimball or whatever. I don't mean that at all. To me,
Okay.
centralized data, data lake. You can have unstructured data. So I'm kind of like, in the world we're in, we need to basically, and I don't even mean necessarily putting this data all in the same place in the same format. It's a little bit more abstracted to me, but there needs to be a group of people, a team responsible for knowing all what that data is and knowing what that data means, right? And that's why kind of like controlled what you're describing of like if sales operational system produces data and financial, somebody needs to create that mapping and definition. And it doesn't have to be even like the world that I would love to be in. And maybe that's a topic we won't touch because it's another hot topic. Kind of like semantics layer, but true semantics layer. This like thin, virtual, ephemeral layer that just connects a person to underlying data. I actually, all right, I'm gonna go all over the place and then you
No,
can
no,
like pivot
just
us
go for
back
it.
into the past.
Don't stop yourself.
So our I work really closely with an enterprise architect and kind of like his idea of GraphQL, where a consumer makes a call and it's GraphQL Federation that figure out where to get that data from, right? Like I want to come to a window, order a sandwich, but I don't really care where bread comes from, or I shouldn't have to care where bread comes from, where cheese comes from, right? So and the whoever on the other side should know what bread is and what
Yeah.
cheese is, right? And the type of cheese. So to me, that's kind of like what I'm thinking about of centralized data, meaning like this layer, that standard that reflects the business, right? And then what happens behind the scenes, these mappings, like, and again, we're in the world, and we'll talk about agents as well, where our data is no longer in the data warehouse, nor should it be assumed to be in the data warehouse, right? Like you need access to unstructured data, you need access to real-time data. As you start routing your data and copy pasting it, right? Like from one place to another, there's still a ton of use getting data into your data lake and doing whatever you need to do on it. But we're stepping into the world where that's no longer enough. So I'm kind of like, that's where my mind's at. I think as an industry, data industry in general, and also any software that we have, we're not there yet. So I think it's a very hard problem to solve. But I think like your FANG, whatever the abbreviation is, they are solving like who has Minerva, kind of like that. Is it Airbnb? Like they build their own semantics layer basically.
No,
So and then everybody can kind of plug into that. Yeah.
yeah, which is absolutely fine, right? So what you are saying, you are emphasizing on the semantic layer. And the moment this data product concept comes in with the introduction of agentic AI, I personally feel centralized semantic layer might become swamp actually. For me, when you end
Mm-hmm.
up creating a data product, the data ownership will become very key actually.
Mustafa, before we dive into that, how do you define data product? Again, that's another battle within the data industry.
Okay.
And anybody listening, please, feel free to disagree. We're just trying to align so we can keep having conversation.
Okay. It's a very hot question you just
Mhm.
put to me. And we have a podcast actually on it and a panel discussion, I think in a month. So
Okay.
I'm all of it. Okay, let me say what is data product. I'll start. So I have given a thought on it, and people are very confused on data product. So I'll
Mhm.
start with this one. What is cheese made of? Cheese is made of milk. What
Mhm.
car is made of? Car made of parts, any kind of part, right? Same goes, building is made of material. Now, data product is made of data. Now, we have to understand there are two worlds. There is OLTP world and there is a OLAP world. OLTP worlds generates data. Data, so when OLTP application you have, there is no data into it. Data goes inside. But in OLAP, data goes outside. It serves. So data products for me is a product which is made of data. That's a data product. And now people are also confused when a requirement comes. We have to evaluate whether this requirement is good enough to be a data product or not. I say no. Every requirement which is a BI requirement or analytical requirement, it is a data product. Now, data product can be good or bad. That's a
Mhm.
debatable thing, which is good, which is bad, which is high quality, which is low quality. But everything which is OLAP world, there's a data product. Now, cost segregation and ownership become very key in data products. Last time we have this centralized enterprise warehouse where cost was at a global level, C level, and all those used to bear the cost. Now, data products, every business will pay for their own OPEX and CAPEX. CAPEX last time they were giving, but OPEX nobody was giving. Now they have to bear their OPEX as well. They have to bear their professional services XYZ. So that's my definition of data product. A product made of data in OLAP world is data product. What's your take on it?
Okay. I'll give you like my absolute favorite definition of a data product, which kind of like made sense. So a few years ago, I ran into Malcolm Hawker. I don't know if you've
Heard of
heard
him?
of him, met him. He works for Prophecy, very, very passionate talking about data products. And he says something, it's very simple. A product, a product is something someone's willing to pay for. That's it. Okay, no, that's fine. I
I'm
actually,
just
I mean,
saying it.
and so um, that's it. So we produce something that someone is willing to buy. We obviously do it internally. They're not paying for it, but it could be a dashboard. It could be a Kafka stream. It could be a
Yeah, yeah,
data mart. So what, as you were kind of describing it, I I don't agree with you. I don't think OLTP
right.
OLAP have anything to do with it. I think they're data products that are source aligned. For example, a transaction data stream is a data product, right? Because somebody consumes it, it has a well defined, whatever it is. It is delivered in a certain way, and I can easily get it because I need it. I am willing to pay for it, right? And then we have products that are more, they could be domain aligned, which is talking about your data marts, information marts, right? Like it could be sales aligned, it could be product aligned. And then we have sort of analytical products, right, that kind of put all the data together and create something new. So if I take sales data and financial data and whatever it is, and I run ML on it, and I do predictive analytics on something, the output of that, right? And then I maybe take that ML and actually put it on my website. So now for personalization, hypothetically speaking, that is a data product as well, right?
Absolutely. Actually,
So
that is matching with my definition. What is not matching? I want to hear that, because
mhm.
what you are saying is data streams, transaction comes. How transaction is generated? Transaction is generated from the front end application, which is writing into the OLTP application, right? When it is
Or NoSQL or whatever. Like I don't care.
whatever,
I
whatever.
do
Yeah,
not care about technology, right? Like
yeah,
it
whatever.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, whatever the case.
What I care is that I consume data, and the data that I consume is delivered in a specific way in a specific
Yeah,
format,
absolutely.
right? And it doesn't matter which way or which format.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It can be NoSQL, it can be BI, it can be a
Mhm.
direct flat file, it can be an Excel, anything can be. That's a data product for me. Actually, the definition you, Malcolm, you just named the guy
Mhm.
Malcolm, right? It's kind of like anything which customer is ready to pay as a product. It's something like that. I ask someone, what is data? They say everything is data, which is correct actually. But that for me,
Well,
that
his definition was coming from because data product, and we do this a lot in data industry. We finally realize that something's useful and we pretend like it's a new thing. Product management is not a new thing. And
correct.
that's how product management defines product, right? Including your, building a car example, right? It's a product. It's something that delivers specific functionality delivered in a specific way, right? When you're like, I need to get from point A to point B, I need a car, not a tire, right? But
You need a
tires can
vehicle.
be used.
Actually,
So,
end of the day, you need a vehicle. End of the day, that's the
right,
entity type. You need a vehicle.
right.
Anything which can take you from point one to point B. Yeah.
Right. So, but it's a thing that you need as a consumer and you're willing to pay for it, right? Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so it's just like a very, very basic thing, but I think to me, conceptually, it helps me kind of put sort of like a box around it. It's not vague or fuzzy because I think again, as an industry, Zama came up with her definition for data mesh, which is great, and then we kind of all went off and did our own definitions, and then we argued whether BI dashboards are a product or not. But I'm like, to me, this is like conceptually makes sense. If I am willing to pay for it, then it's a product. Therefore, a BI dashboard could be a product. I don't see
Right.
why not. I need it for whatever use case, so it is a product. Um,
So by the way, is you are absolutely right. If somebody is willing to pay, but sometimes investment comes. C level is ready to pay the.
we're now talking about
I'm just
corporational politics.
no, 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 I'm just saying budget can come from XYZ place, and business might not be paying for it. Are we saying that's not a data product? Actually, that is still a
No,
data.
I think you're taking it a little too literally.
Uh,
That's not what I mean. I mean is, and again, I'm not saying money's going to exchange hands. I'm
hmm,
saying if again, like abstracted, what I'm saying is you need it. Somebody needs it to
hmm,
use for something. We can barter for it. Like, let's forget about it. Like, I want to make a salad. I need a tomato,
hmm,
right? And when I say buy, I don't mean like, oh, I have to go buy. I can also grow it,
hmm.
but it means that I need it for something.
Absolutely.
It,
Now
it just again,
that we are on the same page. We are
yeah,
on the same page. There has to be questions. There has to be answers. There has to be
yeah,
action on the answers. And based on the action, there has to be a value. So these, one of the dimension
right.
of my 4 by 4 formula is this has to be there, then it become a data product. So actually, it's a good discussion, right? Just coming back as a
No,
simple.
I love it. I kind of like want to hear the feedback after this, like just to get to start a fight again. Uh,
Actually,
and they're like we're like arguing, but we're agreeing with each other, which is also fascinating. We just, I think, sometimes look at things from slightly different angles, but
yeah,
it's ultimately the same thing.
yeah. So let me bring data as a product into it, because
Hmm.
people are also confused with what is data as a product and what is data product. So data product, we all understand that there has to be a requirement, there has to be output. That's actually data product, right? Now, what is the data as a product? So a lot of people say, hey, a pipeline can be a data as a product. Dashboard can be a data as a product. So I tell them, again, car example. Car itself is a product, right? But within the car, there is battery, there is an engine, there is seats, there is chassis. But in the concept of a car, those are not products. But if you take out the battery is made by a factory. For factory, it's a product. Battery is a product for a battery industry, which can fit into as an item for a car to make car as a product. So for me, data as a product is similar. You create our data product in such a way that its model is used to consume by someone else to do something else. That's a data
Hmm.
product for me. Data as a product for me. What's your take on it?
So so I agree with you, but the way I actually say it is slightly different. And I don't know, again, it depends how people think. So if that helps. Um, First of all, I hate data as a product, data product. I love to say we have to have product thinking. And
Hmm.
what product thinking is exactly what you're describing. Whatever we're building, we need to think about it not as a one-time thing, but how do we build something that could be reused, repurposed, interoperable, like all your fare, how can it integrate with other things? So if again, my vehicle, my something needs a source of power,
Hmm.
how do I build that source of power that can be used not just by my, I don't know, Honda, but maybe a motorcycle, maybe I don't know, to power light in the house. So that reuse, repurpose, standard sort of component. To me, that's product thinking. Like I'm like, I don't care what you call it.
Hmm.
Just think about it with reusability, with standardization, with ease of support perspective. So going back to your data marts or what again, dashboards, whatever we make with data, whenever Kafka topics, right? It's all about standard, reusable. Um, we can also talk about shift left, but we're not maybe we're not gonna. So that's how I just think about it this way. Don't solve the immediate problem right now. Um, Take a step further and see how you can solve this problem and many other ones at the same time as you're working on something. So again, like I love your car battery example. I just usually explain it slightly differently, and I hate getting into arguments of like we're just being so pedantic. Oh, data's a product, data product. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Just think of it from reusability, standardization, repurposing. How can you give this whatever you're building life beyond the specific use case that you're working on right now?
So you are bringing the concept of data mesh where interoperability is key. In data mesh, they
But
say,
it's not data mesh, like fair principles. I love this like I'm actually like I work for retail now, and in fashion we say, what's old is new again. Fair data principles have been around forever.
yeah,
Findable, accessible, interoperable, reusable. This isn't EDI. Do you know EDI? Like when I started my career in, late 90s, EDI was a standard way to share data between companies.
yeah,
That, your findable, interoperable, fields were well
yeah.
defined. Like it's so this isn't, I mean, again, Zama Samak was trying to solve a problem, and she kind of pulled on the old principles, put them together, gave them
Yeah.
fresh light, and made us all talk about it, which I think I appreciated more than anything else, honestly. We can agree or disagree, but I love that it came back and we started having this conversation. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So,
it's
so
not new.
I want to add into it that not all, it's not a compulsory thing that all data products might be or may want to integrate with each other. There might be data product they want to stand alone, have a standalone decisions. Who cares? There can be such kind of product, right?
So it's not about a data product built with purpose to integrate with others. It's a
Hmm.
data product that is aligned with the common business definitions so
Absolutely.
that if someone, it's like wall plugs uh, between, US and Europe. They're not like one is
But
110, one's 220. And I'm actually not sure what Malaysia has, and like UK has something else
yeah,
like that. Like, can we just align on plugs? I don't have to build, but like stuff like that. Let's just agree that, this for our business means this and this means that, so that if we do need to pull on various products and put them together, it's easy to plug them into each other, right? Like Legos.
yeah. Let
So
me.
that's what I mean. But like you creating, marketing data product, you shouldn't, not that you shouldn't, you should, but you don't always know or
Yeah,
can think of. Like
yeah,
we are creating new data, right? Like we take in data and then we're creating new data. So you don't know necessarily how it's going to be used. You can't always predict it, but like kind of like aligning on the plugs, right, is the absolute minimum that we should do.
yeah. So let me bring this another angle of CDO actually. Chief Data Officer is one of the most fragile role nowadays where Gartner says within 18 to 24 months CDO changes, right? And this debate is happening. Nowadays I'm very active on LinkedIn on this debate that and which is nothing new actually, which is nothing new that data strategy has to follow business strategy.
Hmm.
It cannot run on its own. But unfortunately, treat data strategy as an IT piece. Data strategy should not be an IT piece, cannot run on silos. Actually, fulfilling a requirement for regulatory bodies, that's what their job. They want to do governance, they want
Hmm.
to have an infrastructure, and they want to build Bill Inmon and or Kimball data model. For them, that is what data strategy is. For me, that is not. For me, yes, regulatory bodies, and that is a BAU thing. But then I bring another angle, which is 4 by 4 formula. I'll share the document with you. I have come up with that. I'll say there are four kind of things CDOs need to look into it. First, data products which are sitting on shelf, nobody is using it. They have to look into it. Data products which are in production but having issues. They were good in pilots, they were good for 1 year, second year onward, they are not working fine. Third one, those data products which business want, but business do not know the technology because technology is moving so fast nowadays, business is not coping up. So CDO role has to follow that. Fourth, very important, those use cases which business even doesn't know. Those use cases and technologies. CDO's role is also that. Traditionally, that role is taken by CAO or Chief Digital Officer, other than data officer. What happens? So, how do you see this data product shift impacting CDO role?
Yeah, that's a hot topic.
Yes.
And I don't think you should cut it, but let's see if we can navigate it nice enough and not get into hot seat. I don't care about titles.
Hmm.
This battle over titles and the fact that we're like even CDO, CDAO, CDAI, whatever, uh, tells me that I don't know if this role should exist. I don't know. So there is again another old concept. There is defensive strategy and there's offensive strategy. I think about it slightly differently than how it was originally written. To me, defensive strategy is focusing on saving money, and offensive strategy is focusing on making money.
Correct.
So the way it was described, defensive strategy is your data governance, kind of things you need to do to protect yourself. I agree. So I think it's both of those things.
Yes.
You need to focus, and it's like, again, I don't even think about data products in this case because, again, to me, we just need to all collectively have product mindset, and I don't care. We need to deliver things that help people either save money or make money. As simple as that. Every company is in the business of making money. We can dance around it, maybe except for nonprofits that are in the business of trying to do good for society. But otherwise, we are all in the business of making money. And we either do that by saving money or creating something new that brings more revenue. So simple as that. Um, and what's interesting with data, and I think the struggle is because data is generated across the org everywhere, right? And data is used everywhere. And the hardest part is like we talk is agreeing that it's going to be a 220 plug or a 110 plug. And that's where we're failing because a team can say, oh no, I'm going with, square holes for a 150 plug and I don't care. It doesn't impact me, right? That's kind of like where I think, again, we briefly touched on that where data mesh fails. They're not incentivized because they don't care that you're able to plug in into their plug, right? And I think that's really where the struggle is of alignment and incentives. How do you incentivize teams to align? And I think that's to me, like if I had to like distill it down, I think that's where kind of like CD, whatever O's struggle. Um, but again, I don't care about
See,
titles.
now
If the teams,
let me bring another piece, which is data practice management team. As we are saying, we move toward decentralized, and all these issues which you have correctly raised comes in that there is no visibility from one product to another product that who is creating what. That is where there's a new concept coming, DPM team, which is data practice management team. And I am a big fan of this team directly parked under CDO. So just let me quickly elaborate what this DPM team should be doing. Because when this data product comes, which will be due to Agentic AI, small data product will keep coming in. Someone need to have a bird's eye view, who is doing what. So there will be no ownership by this team. They will not take any decision. Every business will take your own data product decisions, but this team will connect the stitch things here and there. Hey, you're building something. Sales, you are building something. Marketing also needed. Why don't you twist little bit, not impacting your requirement? Why don't you add little bit more requirement to fulfill them? So have you come across this concept of
no.
team?
So I haven't come across the concept as you kind of like spelled it out. To me, like how I think I product managers, not data product managers, but product managers in general, to me, should have that role. And product, I don't believe in data product managers unless it's a company that, like, I'll throw Netflix. Netflix is data company, right? That makes sense that a data product managers for, but for some other companies, product managers need to be aware of the data capabilities to include data to create sometimes data specific products, sometimes incorporate data functionality into like features they're working on. So I don't like to have layers, I think is what I'm trying to get at. I think adding additional layers of people that are just kind of like traffic cops, if you will, disconnect people who are actually doing the work from each other. And I know in large companies it's not possible. So I actually want for data people to work very closely with software engineers. Um,
Oh, that's another
and
topic.
collab
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know like oftentimes it's impossible. Again, I think it depends on the company size, it depends on what company actually is doing, what products or services they're creating. But I maybe that's why I don't care about titles. I want people who do the work to actually work closely together and solve. I think that's the only way to solve the issue. Sometimes you do need like a layer of governance and security or the team you're describing, like if you are in a truly large org. The other thought that I wanted to share, marketplace. So actually, again, that's another thing. Like I hate data products, but I think about marketplace. So if you think of, let's say, Amazon as a marketplace, in order to sell on Amazon, right, your product has to have certain, let's say, attributes, right, for you to publish it, and you have to adhere to certain frameworks and guidelines and contract, right? So if we said that our company, right, has this internal marketplace of products, and we all just agree, like not agreed, the only way to publish whatever you're making into that marketplace, there were certain set of things that you had to add to your product or like certain rules to follow, right?
Will keep
That
that
would solve all
blueprint.
the issues.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Who will keep that blueprint? That's a challenge you will have if you leave. See, software engineering is there for day one, from since day one. And I'm not a big fan of bringing software engineering because software engineering is more towards application mindset, right? When you say application mindset normally don't care about underneath frameworks. I'm a big fan of applications because
Mhm.
application is something which generates data for you, right? But
But
I,
how do you shift left if you don't care to bring? We'll put it aside for now.
it's okay, it's okay.
Let's finish on the kind of like marketplace idea.
Yeah.
Uh,
See, marketplace, when you go towards marketplace, right? Especially data marketplace. For me, data products is, yes, it is also a part and parcel of software engineering world, right? But it is totally different for me. And we have seen that for last decade or so. So many technologies comes and go. We all know data mining was there. Then it was start calling machine learning. Then it was start calling data science. Then it start calling AI. Then suddenly generative AI comes. Now suddenly agentic AI comes. And I can predict now in few years, quantum I will come. QI will come instead of AI. So all these changes happen in data world. If you bring a traditional guy to support that, that can be my opinion. It's very difficult. You need data people and you need data mindset to understand data products. Because if you don't, okay, tell me when you create a
yeah,
website,
yeah.
tell me when
So what?
someone creates a
Uh,
website, how much
mhm.
they invest in data modeling? Nobody.
See, what I want to say is what I kind of I think philosophically disagree with. I think data people need to adopt product mindset and understand software engineering and learn. And
Hmm.
I think other side needs to adopt data mindset. I do not believe like yes, you need to bring an expert to help set it up, but I think I need like like again, that's another thing. We can rant about business analysts and I think we data people need to learn understand the business we work
Yes.
for. We need to under like we will never be experts, but to me it's like we're learning foreign languages. We
Hmm.
have to learn enough about our business. We have to learn enough of product mindset. We're not product managers. We don't need to be, but we need to understand it. We need to understand how software is designed and architected. And we also need to teach those other functions how we think about data and what it means. I don't want to bring one per like this whole concept of marketplace, right? Like it's a capability. So you need people, you need process, you need platforms, right? You might need partners, but I don't want to have a team just as that. Like I want it again, product mindset. I want it scalable. I want it supportable. I want it to be easy to use. So maybe data marketplace and there will be team responsible for it, but it's a capability. It's a capability you're building for your organization.
Okay, let me bring our next, but not the last one, agentic AI. There are surveys, there are discussions happening. This whole software engineering piece will be replaced by agentic AI. Of course, not 100%, but agents will be sitting there. doing CI/CD, doing check-in, check-out, doing even testing, writing test cases, use cases, uh, converting, I would say, creating functional specification document we used to create long time back, right? All these things will be done by agentic AI. So that is where, so I'm not against software engineering. What I'm trying to say is all these things will be automated. End of the day, the people who understands data, the people, as you correctly mentioned, the word interoperability will become one of the key aspects because there will be so many data products sitting here and there. We don't want to create data product swamp. We don't want to do that. Until as you don't understand the data angle, I personally feel it'll become challenging. So I throw this agentic AI concept onto you.
Yeah. So, to be completely like I thought about it a lot. The answer is I don't know. I can't predict the future. Um, so I know there's like kind of like people that are like hyping and excited about it, and it's gonna be everything's gonna be automated, everything's gonna be rainbows and unicorns. And there is a group of people that are like, yeah, we're just gonna create a lot of mess to clean up. Um, Being very, very pragmatic about it. Agentic AI based on Gen AI, there are hallucinations. And sometimes I think of like agents um, taking a prompt, creating an output, supplying it to another prompt is might end up being like broken phone game. So I don't know. You played it when you were little, like you whisper something in somebody's ear, and then they like whisper what they heard from you, and then what you said and what the fifth person heard are not the same thing. So that's what I'm worried about. So I think with agentic AI to really work, there's going to be a lot of risk mitigation of where is it deterministic, where is it probabilistic, where do you stop or put a human in? That's I do not believe for a second software engineers will be automated. I do not believe for a second that I think what I've seen so far in my experience, and again, I don't know, I can't predict the future, is that when things become very easy, when it becomes very easy to do great things, it also becomes very easy to do stupid stuff.
Hmm.
So, and as humanity, we tend to generate stupid stuff when we have an opportunity, right? So I feel like we'll all kind of like hype on it, and then a year from now, we'll bring people back, humans back to clean it all up, and
Absolutely.
then we'll balance where it's going to be truly agentic AI is just another tool. It's another tool that helps us be more sufficient. It's to completely dumb it down. It's just business process automation. So we'll automate a lot of processes, business processes, but it'll not take over the world because I think we'll manage to create a bunch of garbage that we'll then have to kind of
No, no. So
get a handle on.
yeah, let me pick up a word which you just mentioned, balance, right? I think that is where the key lies, that balance. Whenever new technology come, it does not mean every new technology will be able to do everything. That's the problem. I can vouch for it that when data mining comes, everybody, you are there since day one, right? Suddenly last year, generative AI comes in, and around 7 to 8 years back, data science comes in, and people started creating data science departments. They will do
Mm,
everything. Then suddenly generative AI comes and they say, hey, you tell generative AI
mm,
will create their own models because end of the day, what data scientists are doing, they are mix and matching the algorithms to connect together to create a
mhm,
model. So generative AI can do it. It's good, but generative AI is good for unstructured data, text data, not for structured data. So now, again, and what they have done with generative AI, the moment generative AI comes, those those domain people start saying that generative AI can do everything. And you can see within a year, who is talking about generative AI anymore? Nobody is talking about. Now they have created a wrapper on top of it of agentic AI underneath generative AI, right? So
mhm.
yes, you are absolutely right. It has to be balanced. And how balance will come? Until unless people who have the understanding of that thing, balance cannot come.
Yeah.
That's what my take is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't,
There
I genuinely don't know. I can, I use, you know, ChatGPT and Gemini, as a helper.
Yes.
It's like, is a, but that's it. But I've also seen enough of crazy answers that I'm like, and crazy answers are easy to spot. So it's like that's easy, right? Like actually, I don't know if you saw my post a little while ago on LinkedIn. I asked ChatGPT to draw a picture for me of um the tortoise and the hare story, right? But I wanted for the tortoise to be on the bicycle. So it drew a rabbit on the bicycle and insisted that it was a turtle on the bicycle. Like, because I actually said, no, you drew this, drew something else, and it gave me a very similar image and insisted that it was right. So this is very clear. Like, I mean, unless you're two and you don't know the difference between a turtle and a bunny, you can spot it. The issue is when it's so close to reality and you don't know that you take it for the truth. And I think again, that's what I'm worried about it, that like broken phone game of like it's it looks close enough and you yeah, right? Like that's what you hear, right? Like somebody whispers is like, all right, that makes sense, but it's not what the person said. I think to me that's where I'm concerned, and I don't know how. I mean, we'll obviously figure out how we mitigate that. So how do we mitigate that risk of hallucination that isn't obvious?
See, that is where the disconnect is coming. That again, as I mentioned earlier, that we want to use every new product for every use case. If
Mm,
you end up using Chat GPT, which is nothing more than LLM, for the purpose of creating context and just as an assistant, it's very good. I'm
mhm.
using Chat GPT every day nowadays. And it is so helpful because I'm using it for text. I'm not using
Mhm.
it to give me a decision support system kind of stuff that I really need to take
You
a
don't vibe code? Come on. Vibe code is a thing.
and I'm a big fan of agentic AI. Well, I'm a very optimistic person. I
Mm,
don't say that if you have a gun, I don't say destroy the gun. I say train the person who is using the gun. So
right.
agentic I think it's a super cool thing for me. And I think if you use it properly for proper use cases, it can do a game changer. But still, it cannot do everything, and we should not use it for everything. So we have a time
Mhm.
check of around 7 to 8 minutes. Yeah. So what else you have in your what? Okay, we have discussed a lot actually. Tell us your experience. What is happening in US? How US organizations, community is moving towards this new thing, which is agentic AI.
Yeah, US is generally like, as you're probably aware, very um, positive towards, startups and innovation. So, uh, personal experience, I get pinged by, I have an AI startup, uh, or can I help you implement AI daily, probably at this point. So everybody jumped on the hype train.
Hmm.
Um, from organizations, um, some, I think a lot, if not most, jumped on this AI train 2, 3 years ago and said, we have budgets, we're going to do AI.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously, as always, the reality check came in where, well, first of all, you solved problem already for a lot more money. Uh, is this necessary? I kind of have these conversations a lot, like in general. I'm like, you do not need Gen AI. You just need a very basic business process automation that could be literally done by 2 lines of code. But let's call it AI as long as we solve the problem. I mean, I joke, but I don't really. I think now, at least for me personally, now I actually, so I am in generally anti-hype, just personally. I'm like, don't tell me what to do. But now that I understand the power of LLMs, I am actually excited to use them in situations where it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm like now the one, because again, like we have people that are hyping and we have people that are anti anything new in general. So now I'm kind of like pragmatically, I know you keep saying they hallucinate, but that's okay. In some cases, we can tolerate small percentage of hallucinations. In other cases, we'll just add additional validation or human in the loop. So we've done a lot of kind of like we're going to use LLMs to do whatever, and then we'll put it in front of a person. And we'll try to give them some sort of confidence score if that helps. So I am actually now on the other side of like, I understand it enough and I know what it's good for. So let's actually lean on this new tool. It's kind of like, you know, I got a new kitchen gadget and I'm like, oh, I can make new food now. So I'm like, let's make new food. Or like I keep talking about my Instapot. I make rice in Instapot. I could never cook rice to taste good on stove, but now I make it in Instapot. It's amazing. So now I can do something better and faster. It takes 3 minutes. It's amazing. So that's kind of how I think about it. And I think US is in this typical, we're hyping, we're all excited, AI is going to solve all the world problems, but now kind of like we're past that and companies are truly using AI for things that make sense. But now we're hyping about agentic
And
AI, so we'll see what happens
actually,
in a year.
within agentic AI, there's a reasoning and there are many types of agents actually. Actually, there are few agents which can help us to reduce the hallucination of ChatGPT.
Mm.
If you start
Sh-
using it in such a
Of
way,
course, but like you also have to like the reality check, and I don't know if you see
yeah.
the simulation too. There are newer companies that have modern things, and it's wonderful. But there are companies that have been around for I don't know 100+ years that have tech from the 90s.
Yeah.
Like it's great. You can I don't know you can bring the super powerful car, but you live in the middle of the woods and the roads are not paved. Like you still kind of need to have that foundation to bring this new super cool stuff. So I think a lot of companies are now trying to catch up, to mature, to bring themselves into at least, this century with whatever their tech and tools are. But it's also hard to justify if something works and you're not really getting anything new out of spending money to modernize it. Like again, risk, you mitigate risks. Like, so I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be exciting for however long we're in this industry.
No, it's great. I think it was we have again time check. We have only a couple of minutes left. I think Veronica, it was a great session. Actually, I knew when we had first session, I knew this session will be great session. We have touched with all the hot topics which is happening right now, and we have our own views, which is fair. I think 90% we agrees. The only thing we didn't agree was DPM team and software engineering.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
But I'm gonna say this, which I say to we disagree, but it's not because one of us is right, one of us is wrong. I think we're both right. We right now sit in different companies, different industries, we observe different things,
Hmm,
and there are always more than one way to solve a problem.
of course.
And you absolutely have more than one way to solve the problem correctly. So I don't even consider this disagreement. I love that we have different perspectives and different options to offer. So this is great. If we agree, it would be boring.
Actually, there's a funny story, right? When you go to a bigger team, a lot of which I face a lot of because I'm an advisory in many places, right? So whenever I go into a meeting, I used to face like everybody have good ideas to solve a problem. I create an architecture. They say, hey, why you didn't do this way, this way? So I always tell them, as you mentioned, I say there are 100 good ways to do everything. But as you have given me a task to do it, tell me if it is not working. Don't tell me there is other ways to do it because there will always
Yeah,
be other ways to do it. Tell me
right. Yeah,
not
exactly.
right.
Like
So
why? Like why is this? better than this, or why is this worse than this? But if they're roughly the same and nothing's perfect, then
Yeah,
you
unless
just make a choice and you go.
you are able to generate value, you are
Hmm.
able to meet the ROI good enough, and it is reusable. It can
Yeah.
last long as much as, and we all know, right?
Product mindset. We have product mindset.
And we all know that technology is moving so fast. Last time we used to, you remember, right? Last time we used to have this whole TCO for 8 years. Then it become 5 years. Then it become
Hmm.
3 years. Now we all know that even 3 years, technology will change 3 to 5 times. So your
Hmm.
ROI budgeting need to have enough buffer into it that if you keep changing and doing migrations,
Hmm.
ROI should still map. Okay,
Yeah.
I won't take a lot of time of yours. I think we have already 60 minutes up. It was a great session, Veronica, again. And I think we should have a follow-up session 6 months from now. And then we come back and talk about what has changed, what not has been changed. Yeah?
All right.
Is that good enough for you?
Yeah, sounds wonderful. We'll see if our predictions or unknowns, how it, what happened. Yeah, I agree. I think it would be great.
Thank you so much again, Veronica. Last thing you want to say about yourself or to the audience?
No, again, thank you so much for having me. I love our discussions. Again, we had a call before, and we can probably talk for hours. If again anyone listening to this agree, disagree, let us know. We can have another interesting discussion again. Opinions. Everybody has an interesting opinion, and we should have debates because that's how we get better and we'll learn from each other. And if you want to connect with me, I am on LinkedIn. Just find me on LinkedIn. Always happy to engage and chat.
Have a nice rest of your day, Veronica.
Thank you. You too.
Take care. Bye bye.